Now, to discuss the latest on the situation in Gaza and the hostage exchange, we are joined by political analyst Na'eem Jeenah. Very good evening to you, Na'eem. How would you describe how this first phase has gone, notwithstanding the delays and, of course, the confusion of different dead bodies?
Well, I think that, it's been, in a sense, certainly for Palestinians, nail-biting from the very beginning. Today, just to correct what you said, Palestinian resistance released those 6 Israeli captives this morning. Israel has still not released the 620 that there was Palestinians that they were supposed to. They said they would release them, and then they said that they will consider the release after a security meeting, which is currently underway. So Palestinian families, 620 families, are waiting to see whether their relatives will be released or not. And this has been the kind of trend from the very beginning in the way that Israel has played this. You might remember on the first day when the ceasefire was supposed to have taken effect and Palestinians wanted to move back to their homes in the north, or they destroyed homes, they were fired upon. I mean, up to now, close to 30 Palestinians in Gaza have been killed during a ceasefire. So Israel has not abided by the conditions of the ceasefire, the conditions which they signed. And the big issue, of course, is that the genocide continues. There might not be bombs falling, but Israel, for example, is not allowing the number of trucks, aid trucks into the Gaza that they had agreed to. They've not allowed a single one of the 6,000 mobile homes that they were supposed to. They're not allowing the amount of fuel into the strip that they're supposed to, and the fuel is being used only for hospitals, by the way, nor the amount of tents. So Israel has been in complete violation in various ways, and today as well. The negotiations for phase 2 was supposed to have begun a couple of weeks ago. Israel has still not committed to that, even though they had agreed to it. So it's a very shaky kind of fragile ceasefire that we're looking at.
And just thanks also just for that correction as well, Na'eem. Just speaking about phase 2 as well, there's a lot of uncertainty because when you look at how phase 1 went about, doesn't inspire much confidence, giving all the examples that you've given as well. What does this mean for phase 2? Will it be delayed? Will it even happen in the way that phase 1 happened?
No one can guarantee that. Supposedly this should be a smooth flowing process, but the Israelis have not come to the table to discuss phase 2 as they're supposed to. We're now hearing that Netanyahu would prefer to extend phase 1 rather than go into phase 2, because phase 2 means that all Israeli troops must be withdrawn from Gaza. There's no incentive, of course, in that proposal for the Palestinian resistance to hand over the captives that they still have. Whether it will happen or not happen is a big question. I don't know that anyone can answer that except Netanyahu and those very close to him.
And speaking of Netanyahu as well, in phase 1, when it comes to the testing of some of the bodies, there was a lot of course, conflict when it came to that as well, and quite outraged. Benjamin Netanyahu, the Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, then said that, look, this was a violation by Hamas, and Hamas will pay the full price. Now, we have seen what happens when Benjamin Netanyahu does iterate such stances about what's going on there. What can we expect? I don't want to be alarmist, Na'eem, but should we fear for possibly what we saw post-October 7?
So firstly, about the bodies, these were captives who were killed in Israeli bombings. One of those bodies was, it seems, according to the Israelis, that one of the bodies is not the correct one, Shiri Bibas. That the body was returned to them, they're saying, is actually a Palestinian woman and not Shiri Bibas. Frankly, this is quite possible. Why is it possible? Because in the bombings, Israeli bombings that took place, all of these captives were also protected by guards. And it's possible that the body that was returned is one of the female protectors by mistake, because many of these bodies were also burned beyond recognition, etc. So that's possible. Instead of saying, this is the wrong body, we want the correct body, and it's your job as Hamas to find the correct body and send it to us. He now launches into all these kinds of threats, etc. The thing is, however, Masa, that we're at a point where after 15 months, Israel has not won this, what it calls a war. After 15 months, a group of militia with homemade weapons basically kept Israel at bay, Israel with the most powerful army in the region. And the tide of public opinion within Israel has really turned against the government. I mean, the Israelis on the street are now blaming the Israeli government for their relatives not being returned. Remember that within 2 weeks of October 7th, Hamas had said that they were willing to return at that point all the civilian captives, if Israel had agreed to stop the bombing and negotiate the release of the military captives. So this could have happened 15 months ago, but Israel refused. And so on the Israeli street, the feeling is that the reason that the people who were returned on Thursday, the bodies, that the reason they were returned as corpses was because the government refused to negotiate. So Netanyahu might saber rattle, but he's not in a position either militarily, clearly, nor politically within his own constituency. He's not in a position to relaunch a war against Gaza. If he does, he's going to face a big kind of backlash from within Israel itself, and he'll go into another few months of not being able to win anything in Gaza.
Sure. Thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it. Na'eem, always good to hear from you. That's a political analyst, Na'eem Jeenah.